Hey guys, welcome to my second video. So I'm making another video for my nephew. I'm also going to make this video for a couple of my friends who have actually paid for and bought Diablo 3 Reaper of Souls and never installed it and have yet to play it. They bought it when it came out, and you still haven't started. So guys, here's what you're missing. Alright, so a quick breakdown for Diablo. My nephew did want to actually see this, but I don't think he knows anything about the game. Um, The structure of Diablo is as follows. There is a campaign, which you will pick a character and you will go through it. Um, you can start at any act, and then it gives you different difficulties. And when you first start out, you're going to start out on like normal, hard, or possibly expert. You can adjust the difficulty as you go, depending on how the game feels. If it's a little too hard and it's taking too long to kill some bosses, you can knock it down. If you're hitting things and killing them in one hit with your normal attacks, you can bump it up to get some more experience points. And every time you go up another level, you're going to get better bonuses. So it goes from 75 to 150 to 225. Then, after you beat the game, you unlock Torment and all the Torment modes. Once you hit Torment, all new legendary items are going to spawn, and the game is going to be completely different. Now, it only takes, depending on how you play, if you're going to go through every tunnel and every side quest, you can beat the game in as little as maybe 30 hours, or you can spend 50, 60, or 70 hours exploring every nook and cranny. And the first time you play, I really do recommend you go through everything, because you get trophies for exploring different areas. All right? After you beat the campaign, which is going to take you, like I said, between 30 and 70 hours, you're probably then going to spend 2 or 3,000 hours playing adventure mode, because 99% of the cool content in Diablo comes after you actually beat the game. Um, when we looked at the difficulty before for uh, what I have it set to, I'm currently on Torment 12, which is the second highest difficulty, and I'm actually working toward getting toward Torment 13. Um, and the game just gets way, way, way more badass the longer you play. Oops, probably shouldn't have said that to a 12-year-old. So to give you kind of a heads up, and then for my friends who actually haven't started, there's this thing called Season Journey. So if you've been playing the game forever like me, because I've actually been playing since it came out, if you want to go back to what it was like when you first started, you want to maybe start over again, you can make what they call a season character. And I have a level 52 monk. Alright, so just to give you kind of a difference in regular gameplay versus the gameplay at the end, where you're going to spend most of your time. You're going to sink a lot of your time into that. We're going to take a quick look at the season monk I made. And keep in mind, I've been playing this monk 3 weeks. Diablo is not the type of game that you play every day, and it's not the type of game where you want to play it beginning to end. It's your side game. That's the best way I can describe it, because my friends are all like, oh, I want to just beat this game first, or I got sucked into this game. No, you take a day out of the week, like Friday night for me, and this is good because Diablo works well with a couple of beers. Boot up the game, play for 2 or 3 hours, and just see how far you get. And then the next day, you go back to the other game you're playing. Just pick one day a week and go to Diablo. Alright? So, my level 52 monk can do 14,500 damage per second, has 157,000 defense, and regenerates 12.9 thousand hit points per second, give or take. Alright? And it's good because you can also play with different builds. So my season monk is actually using what they call an exploding palm build. Contrast that to my main monk. Let me just boot this up. Get over to avoid the people talking in the background. Wait for the buff to go away, because without buffs, I do 850,000 damage per second. I have 34.9 million defense, and I regenerate 7 million hit points approximately per second. Well, that's not really 7 million hit points. I actually regenerate. I have a regeneration of that. I actually regenerate 200,000 hit points per second, but you can pick up health globes and other buffs like that. Okay. So this is before I stack any of the buffs I have, all right? And to give you an idea of how Diablo looks in the end game, I'm going to do what other players do when they do videos, and I'm actually going to show you the build. Diablo, its structure is you go into a dungeon, you kill monsters, they drop loot. You take it back, and if it's better than the stuff that you've got on, you wear it. Then you get stronger, go back, kill stronger monsters, get better loot, lather, rinse, repeat, until you become stronger than you've ever become before. It's synergistic, which means that you want all of your different skills to work together. So it's not just straight up, I'm now a level stronger than I was, therefore I can beat something stronger. It's about how you mesh together different things. All right? So the quick explanation here is let's go over our skills first. One of the things that they added is if you have a legendary item that has a cool skill, but you can't really use it because of the equipment you currently have, you can take that piece and break it, and they give you 3 different slots for equipping a piece of a weapon, a piece of equipment, and an accessory. So real quick, Vengeful Wind increases the maximum stack count of Sweeping Wind by 7. I'll explain what that does later. Sweeping Wind is one of your skills. All right? The Crudest Boots. The Mystic Ally summons 2 Mystic Allies they fight by your side. That looks like a lot more than 2, and I'll explain that too. And then finally, the Ring of Royal Grandeur, and this thing is super important. Reduces the number of items needed for set bonuses by 1 to a minimum of 2. Alright, so what that means is, I have this set here. It's the Ina's Mantra set, right? I only have 5 pieces of Ina's set actually equipped. Yes. I've got the belt, I've got the staff, I've got the pants, I've got the hat, and I've got the armor, right? So I get all 6 bonuses with only 5 pieces. This enables you to mix and match different sets, that's great English, different sets to get better bonuses. And as you can see here, 2 pieces of the set increases the passive effect of your Mystic Ally for the base passive effect, and the base passive effect of your mantra by 100%. Your Mystic Allies are twice as strong, and your mantras are twice as effective. 4 pieces gain all effects of all 4 mantras at all the times. That's pretty awesome. 6 pieces of the set gain 5 ruined Mystic Allies at all times, and your damage is increased by 125% for each Mystic Ally you have out. So the reason I have 10 is I've got 5 pieces of Ina's set, and I've got the Crudest Boots.
Don't take that Templar with you.
They're
He'll
talking.
put you to sleep with all this.
Sometimes the background stuff is really fun, but sometimes it interrupts what you're actually trying to say. So I got 10 of them, right? And on top of that, by having 10 of them, I also get 1,250% increased damage. There's 125 for each. Math is important for this one. All right? So that's the first piece of our set. All right? The next one is I've got another set, the Monkey King's Garb. And I only have 3 pieces because I only want the 4th bonus. 2 pieces of the set. Your damage taken while let me try it again. Your damage taken is reduced by 50% while Sweeping Wind is active. Now, we were talking about Sweeping Wind before, and it's a skill that forms this little whirlwind around you. And if enemies touch it, they get hurt. Now, every time you do a critical hit on an enemy, Sweeping Wind gains a stack, which means it gets stronger. Normally, it only goes up to 3. But with that extra piece I have on, it gives you an additional 7 stacks. It goes up to 10. So Sweeping Wind can get really strong. Okay, the next part, for 4 pieces, every second Sweeping Wind spawns a decoy next to the last enemy you hit that taunts nearby enemies, which makes them come toward it, and then explodes for 1,000% weapon damage for each stack of Sweeping Wind you have. Well, we've got 10, so when that thing goes off, it does 10,000 damage if I have 10 stacks of Sweeping Wind. That's pretty good. Alright, so those are 2 of the sets I have. I've got a 3rd set, Focus and Restraint. It's the Bastions of Will set. Okay? Now, I needed 2 pieces to make this work, so I'm only going to get half of the bonus here. Because the first one is when you hit an enemy with a resource-generating attack, and I don't use those, or primary skill, you deal 50% increased damage for 5 seconds. Okay. Second one is when you hit with a resource-spending attack, deal 50% increased damage for 5 seconds. That one we're going to get, because the build I have is called a Tempest Rush build. And normally what happens is you have skills where you generate your spirit, which is the little glowing orb in the corner, and then some that cost you spirit. In order to get this build to work, you actually have to be able to regenerate more spirit than the actual skill costs. So, let's see. I think I regenerate around 35 spirit per second, and I think it costs about 30 spirit per second. Yeah, 35.51 spirit per second. I think it costs 30 to use Tempest Rush. So basically, I can actually just use that skill and not have to worry about it. I'm always going to have enough mana. And according to some of the other gear and stuff I have equipped, my spirit cost reduction is 10% less. So it might actually be 27 per second instead of 30, because that would be 10% less. Okay, let's go on to the last few pieces. All right, Ice Climbers. Gain immunity to freeze and immobilize effects. Alright, if you're using a Tempest Rush build, and Tempest Rush is this skill here, where you're basically spinning the staff, and you're running around, you have electricity or whatever element you decide to go with, and I'll tell you why I picked that later. If you get immobilized, you're going to basically be unable to defend yourself. You're open to free hits, you can't do anything. Making sure that nothing can stop you from moving is what's going to keep you from taking damage and going to keep you going off and doing more damage. And then, this is the thing that actually caused me to change my build. I got this thing called Caesar's Memento. Enemies take 371% increased damage from your Tempest Rush for 5 seconds after you hit them with Blind, Freeze, or Stun. So before, I was using all these fire skills. I was trying to do a lot of damage. And I was basically just trying to brute force through the game. And when I got this, I was like, wait a minute. Why don't we start trying to do things like stun and blind and freeze enemies? I had a build that I had gotten from a guy named the Holy Hermit, and he put something out on YouTube a few years ago. But that one used a skill called Seven-Sided Strike, which is really cool, but it stops you from moving. And that's going to be a problem because of 3 other things that we've got here. All right, so you'll probably notice there is this yellow or orangish text on my accessories. There are these things called Greater Rift gems. And what they do is they give you really incredible skills. All right, so the gem I put in this ring, and they can only go on accessories. They can't go on equipment. Like you can use regular gems here, like emeralds will increase your dexterity. And the diamond, if you put it in your helmet, it's going to decrease the amount of cooldown for your skills. These only go in your rings and your amulet. They don't go anywhere else. All right. I decided to go with Taeguk because what I did was I split from doing damage with Tempest Rush and then occasionally doing damage with Seven-Sided Strike to getting rid of Seven-Sided Strike, and we only use Tempest Rush. So the blue text here, gain 4.44% increased damage for 1.5 seconds when you spend resource on a channeled skill, like Tempest Rush. This stacks up to 10 times. So in 10 seconds, all right, I will do 44.4% more increased damage. Already up from 850,000, all right? And that's why I actually didn't show you guys exactly how much damage I can do yet, because when you actually start moving, this thing actually gets even stronger. Then, gain 2% increased armor for every stack. So if you get this thing going to 10 stacks, you've got 20% armor on top of that. Now that blue text, you see where it says rank 61 above it? If you go through these special dungeons called Greater Rift Dungeons, there's a chance that you can increase that tiny, tiny bit. And it started at, I think, 2%, and I've got it all the way up to 4.44%. But remember, every time you increase that a tiny, tiny percent, it's actually going to be increased times 10. All right, and every one of the Greater Rift Gems does that. So on my other ring, I've got Myrinae, Teardrop of the Starweaver. So it first does 15% chance on hit to smite an enemy nearby for 6,600% weapon damage as holy and heal yourself for 3% of your maximum life. So you hurt things and you get hit points back for it. So that's great. Then, after you get it to rank 25, smite a nearby enemy every 3 seconds. So not only do you have a 15% chance every time you hit, and you're hitting a lot, every 3 seconds you're guaranteed to get a free one. That's not bad. And then the last one I've got here is the Molten Wildebeest's Gizzard. That sounds like a great thing you want to have hanging around your neck. After not taking damage for 4 seconds, gain an absorb shield of 200% for your total life per second. That's actually the second one you get. The base one, it regenerates, and this is the blue one, 71,000 life per second. So this is the thing that's actually going to keep you alive. My regeneration between my skills and this item give me almost 200,000 hit points back every second. And I have, I think, 1.1 or 1.2 million hit points. So as long as I can survive for about 6 seconds without taking damage, I'll be fine. All right, so we see how all these little different pieces fit together, in that we're trying to buff our damage, and then on certain pieces of our set here, like in his reach, if you look, the last blue line says there's a 3.8 chance to blind an enemy on hit, right? So that's going to tie back into Caesar's Memento, and I altered this one. If you take a look, the fourth item down has a little blue speck to it. It says 1.3% chance to blind on hit. You can change one attribute on any one of these things, on only the blue ones. I think I did it here as well. For Restraint, I got a 5% critical hit chance. I don't think that was the one I was going for, but critical hit isn't bad because it's going to add to your Sweeping Wind. So now we kind of know what the gear does. Let's take a look at the skills. All right, so Tempest Rush is your main skill, right? And I decided to go with Electric Field because stacks of Sweeping Wind. All right, and actually, let's go over Sweeping Wind first. Sweeping Wind, we can get it up to 10 stacks. That makes sense, right? Sweeping Wind will dissipate if you don't hit an enemy. So after 3 seconds, all your stacks of Sweeping Wind go away. If we're using the electrical field, as you saw before, we get a really big field where enemies can take damage. They don't have to take a lot of damage. They just have to get hit, and that will keep the stack of Sweeping Wind increased. I can't show you right now because there's no enemies to hit. But yeah, Sweeping Wind and Tempest Rush basically tie together, and each one of these skills has basically a little flavor icon. So basically, you get a different type of element, and we went with the wind element. While Vortex is at 3 or more stacks, and remember we can get up to 10, enemies will be continuously damaged by Sweeping Wind and are frozen, and it turns damage to cold. Well, go back to the inventory. If they freeze, they take an additional 371% damage. So we can freeze them and then hurt them even more. Okay, Mystic Ally. Oh, I was actually going to try and change this. All right, so the Mystic Ally, you get all the allies, all right? Every one of them, you get the bonus for them. I think you're going to, with the Earth Ally, you're going to get increased life. With the passive here for the ally, the Mystic Ally fights by your side and increases your life per second, so you're getting more regeneration. This one, the ally fights by your side and gives you spirit regeneration. You can also activate the skill, right? When you activate the skill, basically all the little dudes on screen, let's do it, they go crazy. And they maul all the enemies around them. And you're also going to get one of those passive skills. Well, I was thinking about it, and I should have actually done it before I did this video, but there's no point. I have to wait for the cooldown. As you can see, the little bar in the corner in the lower left, the R2 thing, it's got to fill up before I can change any skills. You know, we're really trying to concentrate on damage, so what's the point of having it increased spirit regeneration? So we're actually going to try R2. The passive for the fire one, your Mystic Ally splits into... Oh, wait. I thought there was one that increased your damage. Multiple freezing waves. Okay, so there isn't one that just increases you. The passive for this one already increases your damage, so you're already getting that passive. So, yeah, it doesn't change anything because you've already got 2 of those. All right, well, it was worth a shot. In that case, you could do either life or life regeneration, or choose your slow. Slow doesn't actually give you any extra damage. Let's go with extra life. Okay. All right. Next up, we've got Epiphany. Epiphany is a super awesome skill that they added with the expansion of Diablo. So it's only going to come if you've got the Reaper Souls back. Basically, you go crazy, you're on fire, and you teleport to enemies, and your spirit regeneration is going to go through the roof. I picked the Ascendance rune, which will make it you're charged with lightning, causing your next attack after moving a short distance to stun enemies. So if you can stun that enemy, you're going to get that extra 371% damage. All right. Next up, we've got Blinding Flash. Now, I used to have 7-sided strike here, which was a really strong skill, but it seems to fall off damage-wise the further you get into the game. So we can actually take this defensive skill and turn it into an offensive skill. And the rune I picked for that is Faith in the Light. You deal increased damage for short distance duration after using Blinding Flash. So you're going to blind the enemies, you're going to make them take increased damage, and then you're going to do extra damage on top of that. Right? Finally, for the active ones, we've got a mantra. Right? I picked the Mantra of Conviction, and each of the different mantras is going to give you something else. So Salvation is health regeneration. This one is going to do damage back at the enemies if you dodge or you can block. Since I can do neither of those, it really doesn't help. Oh, I'm sorry, that one's the regeneration. This one is resistance. Okay. But the Mantra of Conviction, basically, enemies around you are just going to take more damage. I think the passive is 12.5% reduction in their defense. If you activate it, you're going to get an increased amount of damage on top of that. So basically, we're trying to pour on the damage as much as possible. All right, and then we have, yeah, they're gonna respawn. Passive skills. Now these are skills you don't actually have to activate, but they're going to do is they're going to provide you with support. So this one is called Exalted Soul. So you're going to get 50 more spirit, and you get your spirit regeneration increased by 4 per second. Remember, we need to have that number as high as possible. Oops, wrong button. Momentum. So this is another one related to moving. So we can charge forward with Tempest Rush, right? And the longer we hold that button down, the more damage we're going to do. Well, on top of that, we're going to get a bonus for moving. Tempest Rush doesn't stop you from moving. You're constantly moving. All you have to do is hold the button. So if you move 25 yards, your damage is increased 20% for 6 seconds. So another 20% damage increase on top of everything. Chant of Resonance, you gain 4 spirit per second when a mantra is in effect, and also reduces the mantra activation cost by 50%. Not really something we have to worry about at this point, but the spirit generation is what we were going for. And then the last one is Harmony. 40% of your elemental resistance is from items, instead increases your resistance to all elements. Alright, so I know this video hasn't been as fun as the Assassin's Creed video, because I'm sitting here talking about skills and stats and whatever. Other people who watch this video, who are Diablo fans, will look at this and either they're going to get an idea of something that maybe they want to do, or they're going to go out and outright and just make this build if they like it. It's not the strongest build. A lot of the builds that they have currently out are going for fist weapons. So you've got a weapon in each hand instead of a polearm or a staff like I have. And it doesn't have to be. I like this build. I think it's fun. I'm just having a good time. So, now that I've talked your ear off, I think it's actually time to go out and kill things. Because, that's what you came for.
I've got
So,
brand new
we're going to do 2 different rifts. We're going to do a regular rift at level 12, and that's what we're at, Torment 12. Alright, and then I'm going to show you a greater rift, which is a lot stronger, and I'm not going to probably do quite as well on that one, but we'll also kind of show you how this build plays. Alright, regular rift, here we go. There's all sorts of different things to do. You can do bounty hunts. You can go back through.
Brave the rifts, and you will be well rewarded.
All right, so we want to charge. All right, and you always want to get sweeping wind up right away. All right, so these guys, if you look at their health bars, they have white and gold. So that means that they are elite characters. All right, so gotta concentrate a little bit here because they're a little on the tough side. And as you can see, if I start to take a lot of damage, I basically just warp away, heal up, and then warp back. So it's not always about raw damage or raw defense. You can't always just go in and immediately kick the crap out of something. Alright, and when you kill an elite pack like that, they drop those little warps. Alright, so now, I went from doing 850 damage, or 850,000. Now that all the buffs are applied, I do 1,239,000 damage per second. I've got almost 80 million defense and a heal rating of 16.3 million. So when you actually start using this build and you actually start going around killing stuff, you get stronger. Alright. Oh,
Prepare for a long fight.
Oh, alright, so the little orange globes that you see me picking up, they give you basically a Nephilim boost. As you're hitting things, a little arc of lightning might come out and do additional damage to stuff around you. Oh, these guys don't do that. And if you see something like that, it's a legendary item. Now you can look at legendary items whenever. Holy crap. There we go. You can, like, look at them in the field and determine what they are. But it's better to bring them back because they're legendary. The higher level you play, the more legendaries you're going to get, so that's your main advantage. Legendaries are your super awesome weapons. You need those to basically gain all their skills. You need to put together your best builds. Oh, and then I got a speed pylon.
Ha! A vicious strike!
Alright, so if you see the guys with blue, yeah,
The gods favor me.
Right, if you can see a dude who's got a blue health bar, which I don't think you can right now, there's just too much going on the screen, but they're there. Those are elites. So you get elites and uniques. Elites are not quite as bad as uniques, they're not quite as powerful, but you'll still get that bonus. Alright, so the point of all this right now... Oh, there he is. He's got Peter. Okay. Alright. So there's a little bar in the left-hand corner. Ooh, pick up stuff. Objective right now is fill that bar up, and the boss will appear. And when the boss appears, you can get Rift Keystones. And those are the things that allow you to do greater. So you've got to do these
Your
first.
flaws are revealed!
Alright, if you see the green one like that, that's actually a set piece. And it could be any of a bunch of different sets. Alright, so I don't know how many cleaners I've been playing so far, but we're at about 45%. The other thing about Diablo is it's saying I'm doing 1.2 million damage per second, but if you look at the numbers that come out of the enemies, some are yellow, some are red, some of those are like 70 or 80 million. So I'm not quite sure how Diablo actually calculates damage, and I'm sure that there are other people out there in YouTube land who know how this works much better. But I think there's some kind of multiplier for base damage, and it's multiplied by your dexterity. That's my theory. You're wrong. I'll research into that before I actually start spouting out stuff.
Feel the wrath of
This is
Ytar!
actually kind of a tough rift. Oh god, guys with the... Alright, when they start walling you in, and if you're movement-based, you don't want to be there. They can't stop you from moving, but they can wall you. Oh, that's not good. Okay, gotta run, gotta run, gotta run. Ah, crap. Alright, so that can happen. Not a big deal. The only thing that happens if you die is your weapons take some damage. You fix them up, oop, and then you go back. Now, it's not good when that happens in a regular rift. If it happens to Greater Rift, the problem is Greater Rifts are timed. This has just been actually a really tough rift. And one of the things to remember is, you know, not every rift is the same. Sometimes you're going to go into a rift and the enemies are just really tough. You know, things just aren't going to work out your way. Sometimes you go into a rift and you just breeze through it. It's all randomized. So you really don't know what you're going to get into, and you just kind of just do the best you can. And just don't give up. Okay. And the rifts contain enemies from all the different acts. I was kind of hoping to get one from Whimsyshire, which is the secret act. Most of the game is pretty dark, and you've got like the zombies and all sorts of creepy things. Whimsyshire has like unicorns and rainbows and sunshine. It's very, very un-Diablo. So, but it could be worse. In Act 5, they have these. Basically, I like to call them stink zombies. They shoot clouds of stink. They literally just throw far bombs at you. And they're really bad because they stack in damage. They can have like 5 or 6 of them on the ground at the same time. And you just take massive damage just by hearing them walking on them. But you have to get on them in order to get to the zombies in order to kill them. So it's really not good for an up-close character like this one. Okay. They're walling me in, so I'm going to start using the corpse.
That ability is not yet recharged.
Defeated.
Yeah, and
my injuries are too severe.
Jeez. Okay. So yeah, they're throwing like a whole bunch of like really strong bosses
won't go
at
down
me
easily.
all together. And that I think is the problem. Getting 5 or 6 different bosses. Oh
The
yeah.
gods struck through me.
Yeah, it's rough. Okay. I barely touched that guy. Yeah. Oh crap. Yeah, don't walk through that. Just gotta wear him down. There we go. Oh god, watch out for the explosions. Yeah. I can take a decent amount of damage, but explosions, pretty much, they're gonna kill you outright. Gameplay-wise, I don't think Diablo's that bad for kids. I think story-wise, this world is pretty gory and confusing stuff is. I really like to explode today. I'm also thrown off a little because I don't usually talk while I play, and I'm kind of splitting my concentration between, you know, being entertaining and, like, staying alive. Jeez. Kind of rough. Guardian will appear soon. Take him out. Are you gonna play an even stronger version? Jeez. Really asking for that. So yeah, as you can see, I'm running around, I've got electricity, I've got cold damage. The longer I stay near something, the more damage.
The Rift Guardian is
there it
here.
is. Alright, so yeah, it doesn't clear out all the little skippies. Basically, you want to take this guy out as fast as you can. The Rift Guardians, the longer you fight them, like the lower their hit points get, the more abilities they start to get. So when he goes down to about a quarter hit points, he'll start doing something new. And then at half, and when he's down 3/4 of his hit points, he gets kind of strong. Kind of get in there and hit him as much as you can before you back out. So yeah, the advantage here is with other builds, you kind of have to stand still, hit them, and then move. Here, you never have to stand still. You can get away. You're basically moving in and out. So the advantage isn't all in numbers, it's in strategy as well. Let's just fill up this last one. But we'll just use it. I've got a nice bonus gun. As you can see, it says 114 kills. You get extra experience points.
Break beneath the endless tide.
Monk also really sounds cool. None of them sound lame. Not too lame anyway. But the monk sound... Oh. Yeah, I'm asking for it today. I should probably have just worked out. Oh my god. God, there's more. Alright. we're gonna try and just find a quiet spot, get away from here, get back to town. So we do, after you kill the Rift Guardian, there's no reason to really stay. You've got your Rift Keystones. You're ready to move on.
I need to go back.
Are they gonna let me go? They're not gonna let me go. Alright. It's not quite enough for me to get away. I just had to go into that experience for bonus. There's plenty to do with Diablo. And I'm gonna go over Paragon levels in a minute. That's my current goal. Is I'm trying to get to Paragon level. There we go.
I am returning to town.
Yeah, it's a 3.25% experience bonus. Alright, so while I was in the Rift, I went up a Paragon level. Paragon levels basically are these tiny, tiny increments that add up over time in order to give you better stats. I am currently at Paragon level 564. Yeah, it goes on that long. So each of these areas, and you're going to get, it's going to go in rotation, 1, 2, 3, and 4, have different things. So for the core, you have dexterity, vitality, movement speed, and maximum spirit. Alright, here are the only two ones that don't have a cap. If you look at the top, dexterity and vitality, you can put points in infinitely. They have 56 points apiece. Movement speed, the only reason I only have 29 points in it is your movement speed caps at 25%. So if I put any more points in there, I'm just wasting them. I have my shoes, I think, actually give me the rest of the bonus to get me to the total 25. And maximum spirit, well, I'm not really hurting for spirit, so I don't really need it. Alright? On offense, you have attack speed. Alright, so I have 0 points in this. And the reason is your channeling ability, if your attack speed is higher, it's going to cost you more per second to channel Tempest Rush. So if I want to keep spinning the staff and keeping everything going, I really need my attack speed to be low. I may be able to put a point or two in there eventually, and that will give me just a little bit more damage, but there's also the increased risk of running out of mana. So it's really something, maybe Endgame, I might play with just to see if I can tweak it a bit. Other than that, we have cooldown reduction. Your skills all need to cool down before you can do them again. Critical hit chance, so I've got an extra 5% to do critical hits, which we need for Sweeping Wind. And critical hit damage, which is going to give you extra damage when you actually get a critical hit, which are really good because they cut through armor and all sorts of other things. On defense, we've got life. They cap at 50, so I got a total of 25% there. Armor, resistance, which is the thing I think I'm currently working on, and life regeneration per second. So all of these things are tiny, tiny increments, but they will help you stay alive. And then finally, I've got area damage, which is you get a percent to do damage to enemies around you, and it's 1% per point. Resource cost reduction, so that's where I got my 10%, so every skill actually costs 10% less. And life per hit, so every time you're hitting the enemy, you're going to get 8,046 life. Gold find, well, I have 290,045,648 gold. So I really don't need to find gold. I'm not hurting for that. Okay, so this book over here is the Book of Cain. If any of these unique items are ones I haven't had before, it adds what they call a transmogrify. So I can make one item look like another. This helmet doesn't actually look like the helmet I really have. It's Inya's Radiance, and I made it look like the Mempho of Twilight because it was a cooler looking helmet. So all you gotta do is click on the book. Alright, so Crystal Fist, which I'm pretty sure I already got. Sash of Knives, got that one. So I'm at the point in the game where, like, Hildebrad's Training Sword, equivalent fall, reduce all cooldown. I've got a bunch of those. And they're my Greater of Keystones. I've got both of those. So I've got multiple versions of all of these. Ooh, look at this wall. If I give that to my follower, it's not really going to help him because he's already immortal. I gave him something. He's got the Enchanting Favor. Equip on follower. Your follower cannot die. That's pretty awesome. Okay. And the Traveler's Pledge, which I'm pretty sure I have a bunch of those. Okay. And Eye of the Storm. Alright, so even though these things may technically look like they're doing better, if I equipped Eye of the Storm, I'd lose some of the Inna set. So the set pieces, even though they may have lower stats, are technically stronger than things that are showing you that they're stronger. So what we're going to do with all these legendaries, because I have so many of them, is we're actually just going to break them down into parts. Yeah, I know that seems like you shouldn't do that, but you know, I've got, like I said, so many. How many things are in my stash? I have 336 things out of 350. So, all right. And the rest of it we're just going to sell off because I don't need any of those other
Got
bits
a
and
right
pieces.
good bunch of things for you this fine day.
Sell off your stuff. You always want to empty.
Don't you miss me? Just a little?
Okay. Alright, and then the last thing, this is all inventory stuff. You will learn that you can just kind of skim through this once you know what you're doing. Pop your stuff away. You don't want to stop in the middle of, like, whatever you're going to do next, and like, oh crap, I have to enter my inventory, especially because the next thing is timed. Okay, so that was a regular rift, and all that did was get us greater rift keystones, which I think I have like 6 at this point. When you're done, talk to this dude.
A fine battle.
And he gives you a small experience point boost, which is nice. And then you have to wait 25 seconds for the little thing to go away, and you can do another one. We're gonna run for 25 seconds, do some backflips. Yeah, you spent 30 minutes listening to me so you could watch me do backflips. That's it's good use of your time. Okay. Come on, close. We do a greater one. I'll show everybody the greater rifts. There we go. Okay. So, you do that to do this. Alright, so the highest one I have achieved is 61. So to kind of show you how this works. Alright. Oh, he did do a Torment 13 rift. Wow, I didn't believe that. These all have Torment levels. So, left level 55 is going to be Torment 12. This is kind of like Torment 12.25, Torment 12.5. You get the idea. They're incremental. I can't believe I did a Torment 13 rift. So, the other thing you can do is you can empower the rifts. So the reason you do the rifts is at the end of the rift you get 3, possibly 4 chances, if you don't die, shots at improving one of those super gems that you've got. And I'm going to do a level 61 rift because apparently I beat one, but if you empower them, you pay, and I'm paying 26 million, which, as you saw, this is not a problem for me at this point, but you get an extra shot. And the thing is, you know, it's not guaranteed you're going to get an increase. It could be, depending on the rift level, you know, it could be like a 15% chance, or 30% chance, or an 8% chance, or, you know, a 100% chance. So, this is going to be rough. We're going to do it. And that I will conclude the video.
Embrace your power.
Yep. One of the things I learned early on is always have sweeping. Always. If this goes anything like that level 12 regular rift I just did, probably not going to do okay. And if you look at the corner, the bar is different this time. The bar actually has a little timer. You have to fill up the bar before the timer catches up to you. Alright, much of the damage. Go. This just have to back off. Stick and move, stick and move. Got him. Okay. Now, if you die once, your equipment takes the damage. Sucks. If you die a second time, you stay dead for a while, so you lose some of your time. So you kind of want to try and not die. Yeah, I know in general you try and not die, but you want to stay alive.
We'll rip these brutes
So
to
if you
shreds.
do have to back off,
I
power
grow
button.
weak.
Ooh, shit. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I'm gonna just give myself an okay there for that little profanity, because that was a little bit of unexpected, oh crap, I'm about to die.
The gods track through me!
Alright, so Epiphany is the reason I'm like running around and like teleporting. it's a little hard to control, but if you see all these like poison effects on the ground, you know, you're going to want to be able to get out of that as quickly as possible, because it's really going to sap your health the longer you stay there. You can regenerate over it to a certain extent, but if it just gets too strong, it's going to overpower you. Alright, channeling pylon is cool because it enables you to do your skills more often. Yeah, all that math, look at how much chaos is on screen. I gotta admit too, I usually get kind of toasted when I play this game. So I didn't even remember that I actually done a greater 13 level rift. That I completed one, much less attempted one. It's like, oh hey, I was pretty wrecked when I did that. And actually, I think that kind of helps a little bit because it enables you to concentrate a little bit more and take a little bit more risk without freaking out.
You are defeated.
Skills. Holy crap. Alright, alright. Yeah, they're clustered like that. You just kind of work on one edge, weave in and out. Actually, these guys, they have basically chains that do fire damage. Life. Alright, so we're ahead of the game. We're ahead of the curve. We've got 11 minutes and 37 seconds, and we're going to finish ahead of that. But screw up. And minis. The density on this fight is pretty good, because you've got all these little guys. It's really like poison damage today. They're not fart zombies. That's what we think. Literally. Blind that guy. This was the leader. So let's take that one shot. Back off. The other guy. It's one of your dudes. Having your like elemental guys be able to go crazy like that is actually way stronger than you think it is. I don't know if a lot of people actually realize how good that the active skill is on your elemental allies, but it is actually really
Your flaws are revealed.
The active skill on your mantra too. I was thinking about maybe changing it to regeneration one because it gives you a temporary shield.
My will fall.
Well, resurrect here. It's gonna take a minute to get back. There we go. Now. Yeah. Narrow passages are not your friend. That was actually a really stupid idea on mine. But we've already died once, so we're gonna lose that. Ah, crap. Now I have to wait 4 seconds. Don't give up. Now, I was watching a video, somebody else was talking about greater rifts. It's like, sometimes it just doesn't work out. Sometimes you get a bad one, and look, this is like a really narrow path, which is a bad place for me. I need an open area. That narrow passages are not the good thing.
I need healing.
Wow. You know what, at least this one has been more interesting. It hasn't been as blasé as the last one I did. Because it's just been really hard. The risk is entertaining. Watch me get horribly killed for your entertainment. Okay. Yeah, I could have gone with like another rift. I could have gone with something lighter. But I figured, you know what? Just saw me tear apart 12 rift.
My strength fails.
Right. And the other great thing about these, alright, if you get to another area, you have completely different types of enemies. So if you don't like the enemies on the board, and you find the door to the next level, take the door,
Feel the
and
wrath
you'll
of
get different
Ytar.
types of enemies. The enemies are randomly spawned, like throughout the game, with whatever attributes they're going to be working with. So these guys are a little bit tougher, but they're doing less damage. They're normal enemies, so So you're gonna get a little bit points for every normal enemy you kill, and for those bosses and elites, they're gonna drop those orbs and give you a huge chunk. And they're gonna get you closer to getting the Rift Guardian. And then of course you actually have to survive it. We're getting close. But the density on this one is very good. Alright, I can recast Sweeping Wind too. So if you're between attacks, if you don't have enough guys, the Sweeping Wind is going to falter. Recast it. Hit the button that has Sweeping Wind, and it will give you more time. So that's another little pro tip there. Oh my god. Alright, these are better. Of course, this quarter level is actually really short. I'm just going to get this little way here.
That was a worthy foe.
And we gotta do it again. And as you can see, it doesn't even always have to be the same thing. It's the cave, to a city. They're all levels that you had actually played in the campaign. Some damage. So I didn't take the course of driving through, so it's not maybe as fun.
Prepare for a long fight.
Oh crap. Alright, I got a shield, that's gonna help. Shield pylon will protect you from damage.
Your flaws
like
are
10 seconds.
revealed.
So you're invincible. Dead. Yeah, words. Yeah, words. You're good. Alright, more off. Oh wait, no. But you want to kind of make sure that you are not in the giant pile of goo, fire, poison, whatever, when the shield actually does wear off. Because then you're just going to be standing in damage. Alright, we're almost there. We've got 6 minutes left. Oh, hey, I need that. Whatever it is. Oh, the conduit pylon.
Your strength
So if you get one of
fails.
those... I even just stopped using my weapon for a second there, because I didn't realize I had stopped channeling. Lightning comes out of you, and everything just gets zapped. So this is pretty much going to get us all the way to the end here. Right, I don't get stuck on walls, and don't run on enemies. This guy.
The Rift Guardian has
There we
found
go.
you.
And he's alone, so that helps. Ooh. I did not see that coming. Okay. Alright, we're still gonna beat him. We're still gonna beat him. I'm probably gonna have to pay a lot to get my equipment respawn, but here we go. Stacks up. Win. Try and lure him out of this corner. Yeah, alright. That's the thing I need to watch out for. That giant beam thing. These guys. Oh, he's got beams. Got beams. Yeah. It's not all stats. You do actually kind of have to, like... beams. Some skill involved.
Nephilim,
Got
you
him.
have triumphed.
Pick up your gear.
My burden is too great.
Oh, I actually am full of blood shards, but we'll do that.
What do you need?
Alright, so, because I empowered the rift, I get an extra chance. I do not get an extra chance for getting through unscathed. So here are all the gems in order of ranking. Alright, so this one, I have a 60% chance for that guy, and that guy. Okay. Taeguk is actually my main damage dealer. And it failed. There we go. I'm going to do this one. Alright. So, as you can see,
I'm carrying too much.
yes,
I
yes,
need
yes.
to go back.
Okay. So yeah, as you can see, you get to the end, and it's not guaranteed you're going to get a 100% upgrade chance, but at one level over Torment 13, I'm getting 60% chances. So those are actually pretty decent. The other main reason to do this is
Well done, champion.
you get a whole bunch of experience points. So I went from 564 to 566, and it was only about 10 minutes worth of work. Alright, so we're going to conclude the video. I want to thank you guys for watching. If you like Diablo, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you don't, I'm not making all Diablo videos. I am actually going to be making other stuff. I've got a couple of other games lined up, and I don't think the videos are all going to be this long. It's just that Diablo is really complicated, and really fun, and a lot of work. But if you enjoy it, I recommend you play it, and just do it once a week. Alright, see you next time.